Hello and welcome to today's how-to all about how to connect to the pelvic floor. It's a fact that at some point in our lives, more than half of both women and men will suffer from some sort of pelvic floor issue, be it pain or instability, which can often radiate into the hips and the lower back, prolapse, incontinence, sexual dysfunction or dissatisfaction, and of course for women there can be specific issues related to childbirth. And while pelvic floor issues can be complex and multifactorial, learning how to strengthen, stretch, and just get more connected to this very important part of our core can only be to our benefit. Now, because we're spending more time sitting, breathing shallowly, and often living with some degree of stress, these muscles at the base of our pelvis are often not only weak, but also tight and disconnected from our conscious control. And it doesn't need to be that way. And so I'm really excited to share my expertise in this area with you. Everything that I'm going to share with you here today should be accessible for everyone. However, if you do suffer from a pelvic floor issue, I also recommend that you speak with your preferred healthcare practitioner about your specific needs and issues. Let this how-to be the invitation for you to learn more about your body and how you can take even better care of it. As always, I invite you to do these exercises with me so that you can feel the technique in your body as I'm explaining it, which I think is really important, especially for today's topic. So let's get to it. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is find our pelvic floor and then connect it with the breath. And then later we'll take this into some common exercises that you might already be doing. And as we incorporate the pelvic floor, these exercises can become even more effective. Okay, so I'll get you to come up to sitting up onto a chair with your feet flat on the floor. Or if you're sitting on the floor like I am, I recommend that you sit up on pillows or blankets. I'm actually sitting up on 2 yoga blocks so that your hips are above your knees. It's important that your hips be relaxed. Okay, and so the pelvic floor is what you're sitting on. If you can feel the bones of the pelvic floor are shaped like a diamond. Your pubic bone is at the front, your tailbone is at the back, and the 2 sitting bones are on either side. And the pelvic floor muscles are all the muscles in that diamond. Some muscles run from front to back, some side to side, some on the diagonal. They're shaped slightly differently between women and men, but the function is very similar. And how the pelvic floor works really well is with the breath. As we breathe in, the diaphragm in our rib cage moves down to make room for air. This causes the belly to expand, and it also causes the pelvic floor to slightly stretch down like a trampoline going down. And as we exhale, the diaphragm lifts to help push out your air, the belly draws in, and the pelvic floor draws up like a trampoline going up. Okay, so as you're breathing in, the diaphragm goes down, and so does the pelvic floor like a trampoline stretching down. And as you exhale, the diaphragm lifts, and so does the pelvic floor. It lifts like a trampoline going up. Okay, and so because this can be very subtle, it's really helpful to use this imagery. And so let's go into our body awareness and feel those bones in the diamond. And as you breathe in, feeling those muscles slightly stretch down like a trampoline going down, let the belly relax as well. And as you breathe out, lifting those muscles in the diamond like a trampoline slowly going up, and the belly will draw in as well. Another helpful image is like an elevator, that as you're breathing in, it's slowly going down with control. So we're not relaxing really quickly. And then as you exhale, we're slowly lifting those muscles up like an elevator going up. So there's some degree of control, and we're not gripping up really quickly. Okay, so inhaling, slowly relaxing the muscles down, like a trampoline going down, like an elevator going down, feeling those muscles in the diamond. And as you exhale, lifting those muscles up, like a trampoline going up, like an elevator going up. And just continue breathing this way, feeling that it's very internal. You don't want to grip your hips or clench your glutes. You will feel the abdominals firing with it, which is an added bonus because they also work with the breath. And then working with the breath is so helpful because we get to relax the muscles on the inhale and then engage the muscles on the exhale. And this is really important because I say for most of us, these muscles are weak, but they're also tight. And for women, we've often been told that we need to strengthen our pelvic floor. So we're focusing more on the lifting component, but this can create too much tightness and we lose power and control. If you can think like with a bicep, if it's up all the time, it's not very useful. It's not very powerful. We need to be able to inhale and let the muscles relax, let the pelvic floor relax. And then as you exhale, lifting the pelvic floor, and then you have actually more power and control. Okay, so a couple more breaths, breathing in as the pelvic floor is going down, a slight feeling of the sitting bones widening, the trampoline going down, the elevator going down. Exhaling, lifting the pelvic floor, the trampoline going up, the belly drawing in. And again, breathing in, it's going down. There's a widening, there's a relaxation. And as you're exhaling, there's a lifting of those muscles in the diamond. The abdominals are also gently drawing in. Good. And then you can practice this technique anywhere, anytime as you're breathing, both to create more core connection. And it also does create a really nice relaxation through the whole body. So it's very effective and it's just with breathing. Okay. So fabulous focus, everyone. Okay, so now we're going to take this into some movements that you might already be doing so that we can make them even more effective. We're going to do the kneeling cat and cow. And so if kneeling is not appropriate for you, you could do this standing with your hands resting onto a chair. And if you are kneeling, you can always use some padding underneath your knees. And then if it's appropriate and you want to advance further, we'll be doing the plank into the downward facing dog. Okay? So we'll start off in our all fours position. Again, using a chair if you need to, or having some padding underneath your knees. You want to have your middle finger pointing straight ahead, hands right underneath your shoulders, knees right underneath your hips. Draw your shoulders down and just micro bend your elbows, okay? Not letting them hyperextend. So the shoulders can pull away from the ears. You can keep the connection into the muscles at your armpits, and the neck can stay long. And then starting off from a neutral position, we'll inhale as you go into the cow shape. So this is where you're letting the back arch, you're keeping the neck long. It's more like you're leading out with your chest, and you're letting the sitting bones widen. You're relaxing the pelvic floor down, like the elevator going down or the trampoline going down, breathing in. And then breathing out as you round the spine, lifting the pelvic floor, lifting the trampoline or the elevator up and drawing the navel to the spine. Okay, so not clenching your shoulders here and not clenching your glutes as a substitute. Try to feel it more internally into the pelvic floor lifting and into the abdominals lifting. Okay, and again, inhale, send your chest forward and let the sit bones widen, relaxing the pelvic floor down. And exhaling, rounding the spine, lifting the pelvic floor up like the elevator or the trampoline going up, and navel to spine. And again, inhaling, reaching your chest forward, widening the sit bones, relaxing the pelvic floor down. And exhaling, rounding the spine, lifting the pelvic floor up, drawing the navel in, keeping the shoulders and glutes relaxed. For one more. Inhaling, letting the sitting bones widen, relaxing the pelvic floor, letting it go down like an elevator or a trampoline. And breathing out, rounding your spine, lifting the pelvic floor up like a trampoline or an elevator going up. Okay, and then just stay with this version, or we'll go into the full plank. And so, if you can have your hands right underneath your shoulders, again, middle finger is pointing straight ahead, lengthen your spine out into a long line, and then shift your hips back into the downward facing dog. And just see here that your shoulders are wide apart. and that your sitting bones can widen apart. So you might feel better keeping your knees bent. If you can stretch your legs fully into downward dog, go for it. But if it causes you to curl your tailbone, you're not going to get the best out of it. So you can keep your legs a little bit bent. Okay, so breathing in either version, widening the sitting bones, letting the pelvic floor go down, that elevator relaxing down. Exhale, lift the pelvic floor, draw the navel in, and come into your full plank, keeping the shoulders away from the ears, not clenching your glutes, trying to isolate the feeling of lifting the pelvic floor and navel to spine. Inhale, shift back to the downward dog. Widen the sit bones, letting the muscles in between the sitting bones relax. And exhaling, lifting the pelvic floor, drawing that elevator or trampoline up. And again, inhaling, shifting back, widening the sit bones, relaxing the pelvic floor down like the elevator or the trampoline going down. And exhaling, shifting forward, lifting the pelvic floor up as you draw the navel in. And we'll do one more. Inhaling, sit bones widen, pelvic floor relaxes. Exhaling, lifting the pelvic floor, drawing the navel in as you shift forward. And just gently relax your knees and come back up. Excellent work. And so the next kind of exercise that we're going to do is a squat. And you could apply this technique to squats, lunges, whether you're using weight resistance or even if you're jumping. Okay, and the technique is really similar to what we've been doing already. Okay, so I'll get you to start off standing with your feet hip distance apart. If you can have a fist between your feet, your all 10 toes pointing forward, and just a really long spine. As you breathe in, we're going down into the squat, making sure that your chest is lifted, you're aiming the tailbone towards the floor and keeping the abdominals a little bit drawn in, and that your weight is slightly towards your heels so that your knees are not going past your toes. Okay, this is our inhale. So we're letting the sitting bones widen. We're letting the pelvic floor go down, that feeling of the elevator or the trampoline going down. And as you exhale, you're pressing yourself up and you're lifting the pelvic floor, that feeling of the elevator or the trampoline going up. Okay, so we inhale, going down, the sitting bones are widening, the trampoline is going down, the elevator is going down, and exhaling as you lift the pelvic floor, lifting the trampoline or the elevator up. And just continue at your own breath pace. Now, we are really using the bigger muscles of the quads and the glutes so they can overshadow. So you might need to really bring your focus to your pelvic floor and just really feeling the sitting bones are widening, the pelvic floor is going down, and then start by lifting the pelvic floor, that feeling of the elevator, the trampoline going up, before you straighten your legs so that you can feel those muscles before you start to go into the bigger muscles of the glutes and the quadriceps. Okay, so inhaling as you're going down, sitting bones are widening. And then exhaling as you're lifting the pelvic floor. And I'm going to press right up onto the toes as though I'm practicing for jumping. Okay, inhaling to slowly lower. Sitting bones are going wide. Pelvic floor is going down. And then exhaling, lifting the pelvic floor, drawing the elevator or the trampoline up. And we'll do two more. Breathing in, you're keeping the chest lifted, the tailbone to the floor, sitting bones are widening, pelvic floor is going down. Exhaling, lifting the pelvic floor, drawing the navel in towards the spine. And last one, inhaling, sitting bones are widening, pelvic floor is going down. Exhaling, lifting the pelvic floor as you're pressing yourself up. Good. And then just relax yourself down. Awesome. So this next group of exercises is mainly focusing on strengthening the pelvic floor. Now, I'll get you to come to lying down. The first thing that we'll do is the bridge, and so it can apply to this exercise and any similar exercises. Start off with your heels in line with your hips, knees pointing straight up to the ceiling, and just make sure that your head, neck, and shoulders feel comfortable with your arms down by your sides. So we're going to start off with the hips relaxed, with the pelvic floor relaxed as you're breathing in. So that feeling of the trampoline going down or the elevator going down. As you exhale, lift the pelvic floor, drawing in the trampoline or the elevator as you roll through your spine, one vertebra at a time. Come up to a maximum height where your shoulders are in line with your knees. You don't need to come up that high. Breathing in to stay, keeping the pelvic floor lifted. And then exhaling as you're rolling down from top to bottom. First, relaxing your chest, your ribs, your waist, your hips, and then relaxing the pelvic floor down at the bottom as you breathe in. Okay, and again, exhaling as you draw in the pelvic floor, that feeling of the elevator, the trampoline going up as you peel up. Now we are using the hamstrings and the glutes. Just make sure they're not overpowering, that you can feel the pelvic floor lifting as well. Breathing in to stay and breathing out as you relax the chest and articulate down like you're being rolled out with a rolling pin. And breathing in to relax the pelvic floor, letting the sitting bones widen, that feeling of the elevator going down. And for one more time, exhaling as you lift the pelvic floor, that feeling of the elevator or the trampoline drawing in and up. Try not to clench the glutes or your hips. Breathing in to hold. And breathing out as you relax the chest and peel yourself down one vertebra at a time. And at the bottom, relaxing the pelvic floor down. Okay, the next exercise, we're bringing the legs into the chest and just make sure that your arms are reaching down and that you're keeping the neck long. Okay, and all we're doing is a tailbone curl. As you're breathing out, lifting the tailbone off the floor and inhaling to relax down. You could have an image like you have a ball from your pubic bone to your belly button and you're rolling it. Trying not to kick your legs, just keep them bent and instead use the abdominals to bring yourself up. So it could be really quite small. Okay, you're exhaling as you're lifting and inhaling as you're lowering, keeping your arms down so you're not over pushing at all with the upper body. Okay, breathing out as you lift the pelvic floor, breathing in as you lower. So again, bring your focus to those muscles in the diamond. Exhaling as you lift the elevator or the trampoline, inhaling to relax. Exhaling as you lift the pelvic floor and inhaling to relax. Exhaling as you lift and inhaling to lower. And we'll just do a couple more. You're keeping your shoulders down, so not pushing overly with your arms, keeping the neck relaxed. Okay, not kicking with your legs. You're drawing in that elevator or the trampoline for one more time. Good. Okay, and then bring yourself up to sitting. And the last kind of exercise that we'll do is an arm balance. And this could apply to any arm balances that you might do if you have an advanced yoga practice. Okay, you're going to have your hands right underneath your shoulders, legs out straight, inner thighs hugged in together. And we breathe in here where you're down, the pelvic floor is relaxing down, the sitting bones are widening, the elevator is going down. And as you exhale, you lift the pelvic floor, draw your navel in, and lift your hips and your legs off the floor. Inhaling as you relax back down. Okay, so there is a lot of work through the arms, through the abdominals, and through the legs, but then wanting to incorporate the pelvic floor with it. Okay, so breathing in, the pelvic floor is relaxing down, the trampoline is going down, and exhaling as you lift the trampoline or the elevator up. Inhaling as you're relaxing down, making sure you feel that inhale. And exhaling as you lift. The trampoline or the elevator is going up. And for two more, breathing in, relaxing the pelvic floor down. Exhaling, lifting. We're drawing the belly in, we're contracting the legs as well. And breathing in to relax down for your last one. Exhaling, lifting the pelvic floor or the elevator up. And then relax back down. Fantastic. The last set of exercises we're going to do is all about stretching the pelvic floor and relaxing it. I think these are really important to do every day, especially if you do spend a lot of time sitting, if you know that you have a tendency to breathe shallowly, or if you're experiencing a lot of stress, because all of that can really cause us to have excess tension through our whole body, especially through the pelvic floor. Okay, so we're going to bring our legs up the wall. So the easiest way I think to do this is to slide in sideways and then to come to lying down and bring the legs up the wall. And we're going to open them out wide to the side. Okay, and just making sure that your head, neck, and shoulders feel comfortable, of course. Okay, once you're here, we're just going to stay. Okay, and so make sure that you can have your spine long and your tailbone down to the floor. You can always move away from the wall if you need to have more length there for your body, if your legs or your hips are a little bit stiff. And we're just going to take time here to breathe. Okay, and just feeling the stretch through the inner thighs. You can always have your hands just gently resting there just to let them soften. And then as you're doing that, to also have the feeling of letting the sitting bones widen and feeling the muscles in between the sitting bones also widen and soften. And just putting that emphasis on the inhale, that you're letting the belly rise, you're letting the pelvic floor relax down, and letting the exhale be a little bit more passive. So there's not as much focus on lifting the pelvic floor. And just let yourself relax and breathe here. Feeling a beautiful inhale, letting the belly rise, letting the muscles in between the sitting bones relax. And then breathing out, softening into the floor. Okay, just taking your time here. This can be done against a wall. You could also do this lying on your bed and having your legs up onto your headboard or the wall. And this can be a really great stretch to do just before you go to bed in order to let yourself release some excess tension, to let the muscles through the hips, through the inner thighs, through the pelvic floor, just soften and feel the breath. And just taking one more breath here. When you're doing this on your own, I do actually recommend staying here for a little bit longer. And then the next one that we'll do is if you can bring your legs in close and bend your knees, we're going to move away from the wall so that your legs are more at 90 degrees or so. And we'll come into the piriformis stretch where you're crossing your ankle over top of your knee and then flex that foot. It's just a little bit safer onto the knee. And so we're stretching through the glutes. Okay. And so at the same time as you're letting these muscles stretch, which is really great, I do recommend that you do this every day if you can, is if you can also let the sitting bones widen and let the muscles in between the sitting bones widen, breathing into the pelvic floor. Okay, and you can keep the legs on the wall like this. If you want to take the stretch a little bit deeper, you thread your hands through so your arm is coming into the space between the two legs, and you could hold on behind your thigh or onto your shin and bring the legs in towards you. And as you're breathing in, letting the belly rise, letting the sit bones widen, letting the muscles in between the sitting bones soften. And as you're breathing out, relaxing into the floor. And just letting your focus stay into the hips, into the glutes, into the pelvic floor as best you can, which is really great for bringing us into the body. As I say, this is a great stretch to do at the end of the day, especially if you've had a busy mind. Okay, and we'll switch sides. Okay, so crossing the ankle over the knee, flexing the foot, and letting the leg stay on the wall. Okay, making sure your tailbone is staying onto the floor, or you can bring the legs into the air, threading your arm through the space between the two legs and holding on behind your thigh or onto your shin. And just seeing if you can keep gently guiding your focus to that feeling of the sitting bones widening, to the pelvic floor softening, to the hips softening. And as you're breathing out, letting yourself relax and melt even deeper into the floor. And just taking one more breath here. Good. Beautiful work. And so I hope you found this all very interesting and useful and informative. And of course, I hope that you practice all of these exercises so that you can be even more connected to the foundation of your core strength. Again, just a reminder to treat this as an entry point to pelvic floor connection and to seek guidance and treatment from your preferred healthcare practitioner if you have specific needs here. And if you did find this video useful, I invite you to give it a like, to subscribe to my channel, and to share it with those whom you think might benefit. In the description, you'll see a link to the Fully Embodied Fitness workout series, where I guide you through a series of workouts designed to improve and increase strength, especially core strength, including the pelvic floor, as well as flexibility, balance, posture, coordination, and overall body connection. So if feeling more fully embodied sounds interesting to you, I invite you to check that out. Until the next time, I'm wishing you well. Take good care.